this is a build guide overview for my 0.5 League starter, which is going to be a Poison Frag Round Gemling Legionnaire, and I've actually made multiple variations on this build over the last few patches, but it got buffed this league in multiple ways. Keep in mind that this is just a build overview. Once 0.5 releases and I'm able to test all of the new things, there will be a full build guide that uses the in-game build guide system. This build got indirectly buffed in 3 major ways this patch. The first, of course, being the Gemling Legionnaire Ascendancy rework. The second being fragmentation rounds, getting a new gem quality effect, changing from more physical damage to additional projectiles. It should be 1 additional projectile per 10% quality. And the third buff being deflection. Typically, the fragmentation round skill is very underutilized. Its main issue is that it doesn't really have any built-in clear, hence why I'm going poison and also bleed, and I'll be using the double herald tech to chain explosions to monster packs. I'm going to go over the basic outline for the skill tree now. Please ignore any calculations you see on the left here for POB, as they're pretty inaccurate. Once the league releases and I'm able to actually test this build out in-game, I'm sure a few things here and there will change, but this is the tree for right now. Starting from the beginning of the tree here, we're picking up quite a bit of projectile damage. We're taking this top route that leads towards the starting location for the ranger, which allows us to grab some move speed. You can get as much or as little as you want. We're taking a bunch of generic ailment nodes, such as here and down here, which are very efficient in this build, since we use actually 3 different ailments: poison, bleed, and shock. We're getting a ton of crit damage from nodes like power shot, cooked, some over here, and stand and deliver. Right here we're getting an additional poison and poison duration here. This lead node cluster right here is actually very impactful because it gives a ton of bleed chance exclusively for critical hits, and the final one here actually gives a 20% chance to aggravate on crit, but this is a crit build, so we will be getting that bleed up pretty much 100% of the time. This cluster here is giving us a lot of damage while we're moving, and it's also giving us some movement speed penalty reduction. This cluster could probably be dropped in favor of other things, though. The Cunning Fox gives us 5% skill gem quality, which is very important for this build. And as far as defensive nodes, we're taking things like Escape Strategy, Bestial Skin, just trying to scale evasion as high as we can. Hopefully that will be enough with the new deflection buffs, just being able to go pure life, evasion, and deflection. It is possible that it'll be necessary to scale more evasion or deflection nodes like here, or taking something like glancing blows to cap off the deflection chance really easily, but I will have to get my hands on the character to see how that plays out once the league releases. The weapon swap in this build is entirely dedicated to shock chance, shock duration, and shock magnitude. We're taking big clusters like right here and up here. For weapon swap 1, you'll just be swapping to the poison-related nodes or the crossbow-related nodes. The ascendancy tree should look something like this. We're taking adaptive capability. This will allow us to use high int requirement skill gems such as Despair Curse without actually having to spec into int. Gem Studded gives us a lot of effects if we balance the colors of our skill gems. 40% less movement speed penalty, 30% less cost of skills, and immunity to crit damage, so 3 really big things there. This node will be getting changed to the new defensive node, which will provide a good amount of evasion and life. This node will also be getting changed to the new one that grants every skill gem in the game an alternative quality effect. There's no telling how good this will be until we actually see in game, but I plan on taking it. Taking a look at our skills now, we have fragmentation rounds, of course, as our main skill. If you're unfamiliar with how this skill actually works, all of the projectiles that it shoots will actually combine into one hit if they all hit the target, which means that it's actually very powerful for applying a single large bleed and poison. Keep in mind that the supports I have here, like Garkon's Resolve and Ulnatol's Embrace, are very expensive. They're pretty easily achievable, honestly, if you self-farm them, but these are not strictly necessary for the build to function at all. They're just the optimal supports. We have Overextend because we have so much crit damage. Rapid attacks will make the skill feel a lot better to play. It'll also give a decent amount of damage. Double barrel will give you an additional bolt, but slow your reload slightly. You could forego using this and use heft or close combat instead for more damage, depending on how much mana it costs and how it feels to play. We'll be using Herald of Blood along with Herald of Plague to create the chain explosion tech. In order to get that to work, you need Bleed 3, Bursting Plague, Admixture just adds some damage, Magnified Area will just amp your clear, and Poison Critical will just make the damage more consistent. For our bow weapon swap, we'll be using Rain of Arrows. This will be applying our Wither, so we have Withering Touch, Chaos Attunement, Concentrated Area, Ambrosia, and Deliberation. We're just trying to get it to do as much chaos damage as possible to get the Wither stacks up. And we have Stormcaller Arrow. This will just be applying a very strong shock. We have Shock, Lasting Shock, Concentrated Area, and Rapid Attacks. Then we have Vine Arrow. Vine Arrow will just slow the enemy and also provide a little bit of damage. So we have Acrimony, Swift Affliction, Slow Potency, Magnified Area. The gear for your crossbow, you simply want a high physical DPS crossbow. For suffixes, crit chance, crit damage, plus to projectile skills, attack speed, any of that is good, whatever you're able to get your hands on. Weapon swap is going to be a Voltaxic Rift bow. The reason we're using this bow is because it converts all damage to chaos, meaning that it can consistently get Wither stacks up with Rain of Arrows. It also makes it so that chaos damage can shock, which allows us to get that big shock off with Stormcaller Arrow. And the helmet, pretty simple. You just want high evasion. You want deflection as a suffix. Resistances, life, crit chance. For the chest piece, you want high evasion again, high life, resistances, deflection will be necessary. For gloves, I have snake bite in here. These are very powerful as they give us a high chance to poison and also the ability to stack another poison on an enemy. For boots, you just want high evasion, deflection, potentially life, resistances, whatever you can get, and move speed is going to be necessary. This is what a perfect amulet would look like. This is, of course, unachievable. Something like this would probably cost a mirror, but the most important things are evasion and life for your prefixes, and crit chance and crit damage bonus for your suffixes. Anything else is probably just a luxury. For your rings, there's a lot of things that are good here. You want to focus on trying to get physical damage, life, resistances, and make sure one of your rings has Mana Leech on it. For the belt, I have Raslotha's Coil. This gives a lot of physical damage and a decent amount of life. Jewels, I have a Heart of the Well. There's a lot of modifiers on these jewels that can be really good. This one is just giving some crit bonuses, but you could get something like damage as extra chaos. The next jewel here is just an Emerald Jewel. The most important thing on here is the chance to poison, because that will cap out your chance to poison at 100%. There's a lot of mods on these that can be good as well. You'll want to go for crit damage or magnitude of ailments or just generic damage. For the last jewel here, I have a From Nothing. I'm not sure if this is optimal or not. I would have to do some more testing. But this one is giving me Chaos Inoculation, and on the tree that allows me to access 3 pretty big nodes. Wither Away increases Wither Magnitude, Pure Chaos, extra Chaos damage, and Tempered Mind for some crit damage and fizz damage. My closing thoughts on this build have to do with some of the changes coming in 0.5. For instance, the Catalyst rune can be put into gloves and it will give it new modifiers that can roll, which are related to ailments. That could be very impactful on this build. Upgrading uniques, there is now a way to upgrade your uniques to a higher level, which will drastically increase the base stats on that item. Elder's Legacy will allow you to transfer specific mods from unique items onto rare items, which could also be extremely impactful. Runic Ward seems very interesting. It appears the way it works is once you've run out of life, it sort of acts as a secondary hit pool. I will probably be trying to include this mechanic into the build. The final thing to note is there's several ways to get more jewels onto a build, such as the new Voices unique jewel. All of these changes could significantly impact the final version of this build, but regardless, it should be a strong starter as it has really good damage, good clear, and solid defenses. Just keep in mind that fragmentation rounds is a slightly clunky skill.